Milei is what he says is there's three uh, levels. One is the political level, which is he put his sister in charge of that. The other one is the economic level, which he is in charge of that, and Caputo. And then is the culture level, which is the culture, the battle, the cultural battle, that he puts a lot of emphasis on that too. And
Yeah.
so, because he says that if when he ceases to be the president or anything, the country has to actually have a different culture. It has to be a paradigm shift, because otherwise, all the good things, if he said that all the good things that we we produce will be taken advantage of some collectivists like the Peronists to start giving out things and doing the same things they always did.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you. Welcome to the party, pal. This is Fountainhead Forum 360, and we've got
Hi,
a full
Chris.
circle
How
here.
are you?
It's a full circle here, and we've got a great man to do a full circle with. It's Jorge Trucco. This is your fifth time, Jorge, and only 4 people have been on this show 5 times now. It's great to have you back, guy.
The fifth time. I mean,
Yeah.
I was wondering last night how many times I was on, and I thought I had been 3. I had the suspicion that it was 4, but I couldn't remember exactly. I was missing one. I was trying to remember.
We forget
Anyway,
those things, but yeah.
yeah.
Well, we've already had some elections coming up, some provincial elections, and
Well, yeah. If we had this conversation last week, it would have been a different conversation.
yes, today is the 8th of September, and we are just after a few incidents. Biggest thing was the provincial elections in the Buenos Aires province, which does not include the city, but basically it's all the suburbs of Buenos Aires, and some provincial elections have happened, but the big elections are still in October. But I want to talk about too about what happened in some of these. We've seen a lot of things. We've had some good. We had a mix of good and bad, but I guess you haven't had your provincial elections in Neuquén, right, Jorge?
We are going to have them in October. And if Kicillof hadn't separated his election like he did, and we had them yesterday, we would have had them, the province of Buenos Aires, would have been in October together with the rest of the country. He didn't. He purposely, split his elections separately.
Yeah, so some of the provinces, they just move their elections around all the time. Is that what you're saying? I mean,
yeah, I mean the rest of the provinces are having both elections, provincial and national, the same day.
Well, Salta had their elections a while back, and it seems like La Libertad Avanza did pretty well in those ones.
Some exceptions, yes.
Yeah, I suppose I suppose some of that success for La Libertad Avanza could be attributed to the lovely Maria Amelia Orozco there, because she is just a lovely little spokesperson for the party, and we're certainly glad she's on the right side. She's always got a big smile, and but then we also had the elections in Corrientes, which is
yes,
Corrientes is in the northwest.
No, northeast.
Northeast, yes, sorry, northeast, and it's this little part that hooks in between Paraguay and Brazil.
Yeah, that would be Misiones more than Corrientes. So it's the bottom section of what you're describing.
Yeah, and that didn't do that well. In fact, in that election, it was mostly because there are even some provincial parties, like parties that are only confined to the province, and the provincial parties did really well. No, and also as far as I know, that's also another poor province, right?
Yeah, shouldn't be poor. I've been there many times. They have all kinds of resources. It's a
Yeah,
government intervention that keeps them poor. They have two rivers on each side and a
yeah,
river, at the bottom and on top, and many in the middle. And they have marshes and rice fields and cattle and all kinds of things. It shouldn't be a poor, and it's not cold. It's actually warm weather all the time, and it shouldn't be a poor province.
Corrientes might almost be kind of like the rainforest. Is that fair to say? Or
Not entirely. That would be Misiones, which is on top
yeah.
of Corrientes.
Yes, Misiones makes that little hook up into the.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hook if you look at a map,
Mm.
And then of course Corrientes is also near Formosa and Chaco and
Formosa was taken after the war against Paraguay in 18. I can't remember exactly. It could have been 1860 or 63 or something like that. Formosa was part of Paraguay. Well,
yeah.
Paraguay lost that war. That was a stupid
That was
war.
from 1864 to 1870.
Okay. Yeah.
You Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay all decided
Yeah.
they wanted to gang up on Paraguay for some reason, and
Yeah.
and it was a serious disadvantage for Paraguay.
It was a bloodbath,
Well,
and Brazil took part of a territory, and Argentina took Formosa.
yeah, and from what I've heard also, Paraguay lost a substantial part of its male population in that war. I mean,
Yes, they lost all the other men.
yeah,
Uh, that was a wrong thing to have. That war was
was that
terrible.
just about territory, or what was that whole war?
No, I mean Paraguay. I mean was led by a guy Francisco Solano Lopez,
Yeah,
and he, for some reason, he declared war on Brazil.
yeah,
I can't remember. I have to go back and go over the exact motives. And in order to attack Brazil, he asked permission to go through Misiones, through Argentina.
yeah.
And Argentina said no, and he did it anyway. So he got himself into a war against Brazil and Argentina. And I don't know why Uruguay also joined in. I can't remember.
Maybe they just saw an easy war to get involved with. I mean, you're talking. I mean, this has got to be one of the most. I mean, it's just like one. But you're talking a country that still doesn't have 1 million people, and it's fighting a
Back
war with
back
countries
then,
now that are about 250 million people. Yeah.
back then it was a wealthy country, Paraguay.
Oh, that's wild. I didn't know what they had there. I've now had every one of Argentina's neighbors represented here except for Paraguay. I hope I
I
can.
like Paraguay. I mean, the people are nice, very nice people. They have very nice music. They are always in a good mode, and and I don't know if I had to move for some reason, I would go to Paraguay. It's very, 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 very free. I mean, the taxes are low. Uh, it's a very it's compared to what our Argentina has been until now. It was a very free country, Paraguay.
Yeah, I've heard that. And, just it's pretty cheap.
Mm.
Biggest drawback is there's no direct flight to the USA from there, which is not.
No,
You have to go through somewhere else. But yeah, I've also heard because of that war, it's still it's just it's still a society that really values its men because I don't know if that's the case elsewhere. So yeah, that's certainly an interesting part of history. I mean, there haven't been that many wars in South America, but that Lopez must have been nuts or something to think he could take on a war like that. It just makes no sense to me why you'd
Huh.
fight a war when you're just. But as you pointed out, maybe if you got the wealth, it helps. But and it's always been a landlocked country. But so the the elections in Corrientes didn't really look that good. And then we had these elections in Buenos Aires province, which is, of course, is the largest province by population and by a wide margin.
No, by territory too. It's
Yeah,
huge because at some point Buenos Aires was an independent country from the rest of Argentina, and it came together in I I can't remember exactly, but 1860 something, uh, when Mitre defeats Urquiza on the second war they had, the second battle. They had two wars. I think the second one was Pavon. That was when Mitre defeats Urquiza and he unites the country. Mitre represented Buenos Aires, and he unites the United Provinces, which were all the rest, and Buenos Aires, which was uh, what it is today. It's a huge province.
yeah,
It's the largest province in the country. And then
oh yeah,
during I think it was during I think it was Roca who actually decided that the city of Buenos Aires would become the capital city of the entire country, separate from the province of Buenos Aires. So that's the thing.
yeah. I mean, the autonomous city has 3,120,000, but the province has 17,569,000. And the land area is 307,000 square kilometers, which is, yeah, it's the largest land area.
Yeah,
It,
for a province.
and yeah, and also just, and population wise, I mean, the next province after that is Cordoba, which is almost 4 million. But so it's a much larger province than, I'm surprised they, and a lot of it's just basically suburbs, but yet it goes down pretty far. And I've also heard most of it is, except for the northern part, is actually quite poor too. Is that true? Or,
What's the province of Buenos Aires?
yeah, the province of Buenos Aires.
No, no, no. It's the most productive, uh, yeah, productive province in the country. The problem is the government they have there, and the political situation they have in the province of Buenos Aires. But it's very, very productive. That is the most fertile land there is in the country. Not just that, also parts of Cordoba, Santa Fe, and Entre Rios are also part of the fertile area of Argentina. But the province of Buenos Aires is very, very productive. It could be absolutely, very people could be very wealthy living in the province of Buenos Aires. They don't have to have those slums around uh, the city of Buenos Aires and all that. That is created by the government.
Yeah, some of yeah, it's interesting because the cities outside of Buenos Aires seem to be worse off than the city of Buenos Aires.
Yeah, it's like an extension of the city of Buenos Aires, uh, but it's become very dangerous. You have crimes every day and stuff like that. You have visa miserias, however you call that, slums in English. Uh,
Yeah,
and especially the last 40 years. I mean, the years we had, after the last 40 years after the last dictatorship during democracy, the politicians have created, had created poverty all over, you know, around the city of Buenos Aires, the outer, what we call the greater Buenos Aires, which is the part of the province that surrounds the city of Buenos Aires.
yeah, yeah. It's an interesting phenomenon in South America. In the U.S., you have a situation where a lot of times the inner cities aren't actually very well, are actually kind of ghettos, but people go out and live in the suburbs. But that's usually seems to be reversed in South America. People get poor as you go out, but I've seen it that way in Colombia, and just it's obviously people move for different reasons, but at least in America, it's this attitude that if you go out to the suburbs, you're going to have better schools and better services than if you live in the big city. Yeah, yeah. Of course, there's also a lot of coast in. There's also like Mar del Plata and
Yes, the coast is
Blanca.
very busy. I mean, they have a lot of towns and cities there that are very popular uh, to
Yeah,
people all over the country.
and that's where usually you get these rich people who have their vacation homes and stuff
Mm.
like that. And those places aren't always cheap. I do remember going out. I did go out of town once and go more out of town just because one of my somebody I knew was having some trouble with his marital problems. I said I better go out and see him, and just we went and said, yeah, it definitely was a little more interesting when you get to go on the trains, and maybe you never really visit a country until you ride the trains. But so 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 yeah. So one positive note though was there actually was La Libertad Avanza wasn't expected to do that well, but there were 7 seats gained in their provincial legislature. So I guess we could call that a win.
Yeah, the thing is that the uh, we experienced a tougher than expected result in the provincial election, the Buenos Aires province election. It wasn't a narrow miss uh, like I would have expected. It was 13-point defeat, and I think some of the questions you asked me before this interview about what was going on with all the leaks that
Yeah,
and things like that, and I mean they really tried to attack Millet in all ways and forms, uh, and uh, and I think that a lot of that has to do with the result. I don't know exactly the details, but nobody knows because it's so confusing. Uh, they, for instance, let me see.
yeah. And I just see Milei fired Sebastian Pareja, who was the organizer of the Buenos Aires province. So
Yeah,
I do wonder if it was wise to try to go after the Kirchnerists on their on their toughest turf. You know,
well, I think that I thought that that Milei could win there. I
yeah,
mean, 2 months ago I thought that, but then we had all these cases at the same time. I mean, all the this guy Diego Spaniolo, previously Javier Milei's personal lawyer and head of National Disability Agency, was dismissed after leaked audio recordings surfaced. In these recordings, he alleged a bribery scheme involving pharmaceutical suppliers, naming Karina Milei, the
yeah,
president's sister and secretary general of the presidency, and advisor Eduardo Menem, also known as Lule Menem, among others. The audio suggests a structured kickback system. Spagnuolo claims suppliers were asked to pay 5%, later increased to 8% of contract fees in cash, funneled through Suizo Argentina, that's an entity called Suizo Argentina, and ultimately reaching the presidency. The scheme allegedly generated monthly collections of twenty to $30,000. Um, so uh, that was one of the attacks. Uh, it was orchestrated because that's something that happened some time ago, and now they service it now, right before the elections. You don't know what is true and what is false. I mean, a lot of it is false, but I don't know to what extent. I I believe in Javier Milei as he's not involved in that, but I don't know the people around him if they can be involved in things like that or not. But that actually, uh, they actually attacked him with that.
yeah. It's hard to say what they can attack him for. It's there's
The guy was fired, and my interpretation is while the government labels this is a politically timed operation. I'm more interested in evaluating the broader performance. Well, that's I prepared uh, uh, notes for an interview last week, and now things have changed because we had the elections yesterday, and
Yeah.
and 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 actually, I think that there were a number of things that that really were, I don't know, the let me see. Milei's coalition suffered a sharper than expected loss, 47% for the Peronists versus 34% for his party. That's a 13% gap. That's more than we expected, and more than Milei expected. Then the market impact. The peso fell 5% more or less following the defeat. Argentina's Merval index dropped between 10 and 20%. That's today. Bond yields rose with country risk surpassing 1,000 basic points, you know, and but the inflation rate, the inflation data, uh, August inflation is estimated at 2% monthly, putting annual inflation at about 33.8%, the lowest since 2018. So also, Argentina adopted a floating exchange rate system within a band of 1,000 pesos to 1,400 pesos. That's the ceiling. That's the price for $1. And given the recent peso slide, the exchange rate is now around 1,450 pesos above the ceiling, prompting likely central bank intervention. That I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
this this is the setback is sort of a wake up, not a conclusion, because this is only a provincial election.
Yeah.
That it only affects the representatives at the legislature in the province of Buenos Aires, not nationwide. The real thing is October, but this is
Yeah.
a signal. This is a signal,
Yeah.
and I mean, a lot of the other things are good things. Inflation continues a downward trend, and
Yeah.
the IMF program and reform efforts remain in place. Uh,
hmm And interesting enough, the biggest loser in this election, the provincial election, was Somos Buenos Aires, which is We Are Buenos Aires, which is a provincial party. They
yeah,
lost.
but no,
They
yeah,
lost
but
quite a bit.
that's a party that was put together very recently.
Yeah.
I mean, this was a fight between the Peronists against the against Milei and the
Yeah.
Libertad Avanza.
And and
Uh,
and the makeup now is with 92 seats. I mean the Peronists have 39, La Libertad Avanza has 31, so nobody has a majority. And
no,
I
well,
mean,
that's
31 is certainly a substantial number that you.
yeah, yeah. But the thing is that what does this mean? Well, is this going to
Yeah.
be the same thing, the same way in October or not? Because we weren't expecting this. And there's things. I mean, I made some notes here. Uh,
Yeah.
why did Milei lose in Buenos Aires, for instance? You know, and I would say I wrote down several concepts here. For first of all, we must understand the voting system in Buenos Aires province. It is still the old legacy party ballot system. Each party prints its own ballots, which are then distributed in polling stations.
Yeah.
This system is extremely vulnerable to fraud. Ballots disappear, boxes can be tampered with, votes can be manipulated, and the Peronist machine is very well oiled in mobilizing people with buses, taxis, and resources. In Argentina, for decades, experts have estimated fraud margins of between 5 to 10%. So I have no doubt fraud played a role here. I don't know, you know, but
Yeah, no,
beyond
I mean,
that,
yeah.
yeah,
The
there's
whole
no
thing.
question. I mean, they always commit fraud. That's a
Yeah,
rule. But
that whole
beyond
thing.
that, there's other reasons. In the last week, we saw corruption accusations, leaked audios, and very aggressive media campaign against Milei's government. These scandals may have affected public opinion, even if they are politically timed.
That's possible
And
too. Yeah, the one thing that I find intriguing that I've discovered about Argentina's elections. I mean, in America, well, we hardly use paper ballots at all anymore. But in America, every election you have one ballot, and the ballot might say Chris Baker, Jorge Trucco, and then you got boxes next to him, and then you just put an X in the box of the candidate you want. I mean, that's how. I've never heard of like separate ballots for different candidates. That's wild to me. Yeah,
yeah,
for different
well,
parties. Yeah.
well, that's the legacy system we've had since 200 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
don't know if
no,
there's
the rest of the country is not that way anymore, except the province of Buenos Aires decided to keep that method because that's the
yeah,
only method they can manipulate.
yeah, they keep elections, and I wonder if eventually there might be some reform to get to change those systems. It's
Well, October is going to be different. And October is going to
yeah,
be different. And and the other thing is, while the macroeconomic indicators are improving, inflation is falling, country risk had come down, bonds had rallied. On the microeconomic side,
yeah,
people still feel pain. Some
yeah,
people. A number of small businesses are closing. I'm seeing, around
yeah,
where I'm living here in Buenos Aires,
yeah,
shops in Buenos Aires are empty. Some you
yes,
see a lot of empty, and consumption is down. Ordinary people are cautious and spending less. This creates a perception of crisis, even if the fundamentals are better than a year ago.
yeah,
So I would say this result is not the end of the road, but rather a warning signal. Fraud explains part of it. Media attacks explain another part, and the slow transmission of macro progress into daily life explains the rest. October's national election is still ahead, and that is the real test. I remain
yeah,
optimistic that reforms will consolidate and Argentina will not go back to Kirchnerism.
yes.
That's what I.
I think most voters when they go vote, they're not going to ask, is my country better off? They're fundamentally going to ask, are my
Uh,
friends and my family better off?
yeah, yeah.
And so if my friends and my if I'm better off and my friends and family are better off, I will be happy. And if not, I don't know if people really look at the whole country because and so many of these economic statistics like unemployment stuff can be manipulated anyway. But
Yeah, but when they take that criteria, for instance, they make mistakes too because they are they they are mistaken when they think that voting the way they vote or voting for a Peronist candidate is
yeah,
they're going to be better off
yeah,
because uh, Millet has done a great job of teaching people that inflation is their worst enemy, and when a politician comes up and promises things, he doesn't fulfill those promises with his own money. He uses other people's money or the people's money. So he creates inflation. He creates, high taxes. He creates all that kind of thing. So these people who think they're better off by voting a Peronist guy are wrong, and
yeah,
because they end up being more poor. So they need to be educated. I mean, and Millet has done a great job by educating people. Uh, a lot of people understand the situation better now than they did, 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, a lot of people now know the origin for inflation. I mean,
yeah,
5 years ago they didn't know that. They thought it was a
yeah,
climate phenomenon, and And so I think that there was Millet should probably be surrounded by some people. I mean, there's some people that shouldn't be with that even are hurting Millet. People in La Libertad Avanza are hurting Millet, and and I think that what he repeated several times that he is interested. I mean, he only thing he cares for is the economy. All the political stuff he actually has his sister take care of that, and I think that that may be a mistake.
Well, the hard thing is when you become famous, rich, and or powerful, you really don't know who your friends are. I mean, if Javier Milei loses everything, Karina will still be there because she's
Yeah,
always
that's true. Yeah.
that's the thing about family,
Mm.
and I don't know if he's and it's that's the difficult thing. You don't really know who your friends are, and everybody wants to be your friend, and you don't really know why they want to be your friend, and it's
Oh.
and there's a song called "Life's Been Good," and he says, "It's tough to handle this fortune and fame. Everybody's so different. I haven't changed." Yeah, it's and of course,
Well,
what happened, and what happened, of course, a little while back too, when somebody uh, tried to drop a big rock on him or got onto the
yeah,
truck, and that was
yeah,
another incident too. He's
mm.
you know
Yeah. And then he made a speech last night. He began by acknowledging a clear defeat. He said, "This is a clear defeat,"
yes,
uh, and that honestly sets a serious stage for constructive reflection. That's what he said. He committed to correcting political missteps and emphasized that reform is not only intact but will be accelerated. He's talking about
yeah,
economic reforms.
yeah,
He reminded everybody inflation was tamed from 200% to 20%, and 12 million Argentines were lifted out of poverty. This progress is not negotiable. He said that. In essence, despite the blow, Millet stood firm, vowing not to retreat a millimeter or an inch and to deepen reforms. So that was his short speech last night. He looked very solid. And anyway, this was a result that we weren't expecting. We're not expecting.
I certainly see him as a man who knows how to make adjustments when things happen, and that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in sports, you don't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, I've watched the American libertarians in America, and they will not change strategy. They will not make adjustments at all. It's whether they just don't want to try anything different in you, and it's so disheartening. But the important thing too, Jorge, is this is just he knows he's still. Do you think maybe he's still really going out and changing minds, and you can lose maybe lose an election here and there, but you still win the battle in the long term?
Well, I think that is what we're witnessing because it is a fact that the young people are not Peronist. The people who
Yeah,
are becoming voting people who are 16 or 17 every year, most of them are not Peronist. They're libertarians because of Millet, and that is a very good sign. And a lot of the people understand economics better than they did before. Like I just said, they understand the origin for inflation and for high prices. I mean, they understand that the politicians don't produce anything; that they are parasites who live off people's production. And so now those concepts are everybody. I mean, a lot of people understand that they didn't before. They understand that when a politician gives you something, he's not doing it with his own money. And so they now that is something that everybody understands. So that is a huge uh, paradigm shift.
I really do. And if he's getting these ideas in the heads of people before they're 30, they're probably going to keep them, because it seems when people get older, they don't necessarily have time to re-examine these thoughts. And I think it's going to be, we can get a bunch of little Mileis out there or younger Mileis out there who make a difference. It's so amazing. And
It's important that he stays strong, because now he has joined Axel Kaiser, and they started out a foundation called Fundación Faro, which means Beacon
yeah,
Foundation. And there's other people like Agustin Laje, who is
yeah,
sort of an intellectual, and he's very good. And of course, Axel Kaiser, and so I'm those things didn't exist before, and I think
yeah.
that
And
uh,
of course, yeah, and it's interesting to see how much this is a family affair. You've got the Kaiser family in Chile, and of course in Argentina, you've got Alberto Benegas Lynch and all of his descendants. Are just it's great to see how this is working. And just to clarify, there are actually three. One, the oldest Alberto Benegas Lynch is dead, but then there's Alberto Benegas Lynch Jr., and then there's the third who's in the Congress, right?
yeah,
Yes.
uh, I never uh, met the senior.
Yeah.
I remember in the 90s I discovered a TV program that was held by Alberto Venegas Lynch Jr., and it
Yeah.
was fantastic. But it was the first time that I was exposed to the ideas of the Austrian School of Economics. That was like
Yeah.
30 years ago, and he had a show on cable TV once a week, uh, and I would make a point of watching his show. And he was just a dialogue between him and his wife, or I think it was his wife, and she would ask things like property, how do you explain property, and stuff like that, and he would explain it from the Austrian School of Economics view. And he would mention the authors that he was reading, and he would mention Mises and Hayek and Menger and Baumbauer and all these guys and Rothbard. And to me, it was very enlightening, because I studied economics and I never heard of these people before. So that was my first connection
Yeah.
with the ideas of the Austrian School of Economics. He's
You know,
very
I,
knowledgeable.
I went to two seminars at the Foundation for Economic Education in 1994 and 1997. And now I remember at both seminars, this was maybe around 20 to 25 people in attendance. There were two Argentines in both of those seminars, though, and there must have been some program going on, because the groundwork for this has been laid. It's nice to see it's been done that way. Yeah, and that that's just like Milton and Rose Friedman used to produce a lot of content together as well. They made a great pair. It's a
Huh.
yeah. I got to meet Alberto II and his lovely wife, and I said, you're prettier than Mrs. von Mises was. Mrs. von Mises was an actress in Austria, so yeah, but it's not. They seem like they're just really great people. I'm really, I'm really falling in love with your country, Jorge. It's just uh, people, and Jorge, people are just friendlier down there. I
Yeah.
realize they're a lot more huggy. You know,
Yeah.
you need somebody to handshake.
Yeah.
I mean, Milei hugs everybody. I
Yeah.
love. Yeah, he really just loves people. It was funny. He was at this. He gave the speech, and he saw Mark Skousen holding up Mark Skousen's book in Spanish, and Mark Skousen and Milei saw him. Oh, because Milei knew the book. So he got this picture with Mark Scouse, and I
You
yeah.
you were asking about Millet's books.
Yeah. He has 9 books, I guess. Is that right?
Yeah, I have
None
3
of
of
them
them.
are in English, though.
Yes, he wrote a bunch of books.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, he also did have a co-author on several of them.
Oh yeah, at the beginning he had Diego Giacomini
Yeah.
uh, as co-author and some others, but I have the list of all the books he wrote,
Yeah.
and it goes from they're all in Spanish. I don't know if any of them have been
Yeah.
translated into English. Probably the
Jorge,
last
it's
one.
kind of sad, but a lot of American publishers, I guess, are very hostile toward books that are, unless it's a super bestseller, they don't want to do translations very much. You really have to ride them. But I think it would be worthwhile for him to do the translations. Or get some translations done if he is. Also, do they publish the same edition in every country? I mean, I know, for example, the Harry Potter books that were published in England aren't quite the same as the Harry Potter books that are published in America.
Hmm,
Do
I
you
don't know.
know if there's any? I mean, does a Mexican does a Mexican get the same book as the Argentines do, even though it's both in Spanish? No,
Some,
because there are some
sometimes
differences in Spanish.
sometimes yes, and sometimes no. For
Yeah,
instance, there is a Spanish publisher called Unión Editorial, and they publish things in Spain, and we read them
yeah,
here, and they read them in Mexico. That's the same. Uh, I think the Market for Liberty that I translated, the only version is my version.
yeah.
No one else.
I
Uh,
wasn't sure about that.
Atlas Shrugged, Atlas Shrugged. There was there were more than one versions, and I
Yeah.
don't know why.
I don't know why either. And as I've talked about it, they need to get a better title. Rebellion of Atlas just
No,
doesn't
yeah, we talked
work.
about that. The
Yeah,
thing is that we don't have such thing. We don't have a word for shrugged.
yeah. Word
So,
for dropping your shoulders. That
yeah,
you just say Atlas dropped his arms, or yeah. We've got a lot of words in this language, Jorge. I think that's sometimes. I don't know if that's an advantage or a disadvantage.
it goes both ways. We also have words that don't exist in English. But there's a word in English that doesn't exist in Spanish. For instance, the difference between loneliness and solitude. You have both words in English. In Spanish, we have soledad, which is both loneliness and solitude. So
Yeah,
if you're a poet and you want to say that in Patagonia you enjoy there's solitude without loneliness, you cannot say that in Spanish. You have
and really, and solitude just means you're by yourself, but you kind of want to be by yourself. But
yeah,
loneliness means you're alone, but you really don't want to be alone. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
you have the advantage of every word in your language is spelled like it sounds, whereas English,
yeah.
no word is spelled like it sounds.
No,
It's that is the one thing I've got mixed
but
feel. I don't know what to say about the whole gender thing, but yeah,
so that's the only setback that the English language has.
yeah.
It's not phonetic, but other than that, it's a very good language. I mean, English is a very good language to explain uh, complexity. You know, sometimes when I try to translate into Spanish some books in English, I have to go around. You know, you can't. There's some things that are not that don't exist in the Spanish language. I think it goes both ways. But I like the way the English language. I mean, a language is a structure that makes you that actually shapes your thinking.
Yes, it does.
Uh, yeah,
It does. I mean, people say you don't really know a language until you have a dream in the language. So, yeah,
and
so, yeah. It's there certainly opens up doors. I think sometimes I think people even take on a different personality if they go into a different language. It's definitely something different. It's yeah. So we had these. So So the Corrientes elections, yeah, they had a few people running for governor, but yeah, so mostly it was the. I think they're going to have some runoffs in these elections too, though. But La Libertad Avanza wasn't really expected to do that well. Like there's the Radical Civic Union and some other, and a lot of provincial parties there. So the Corrientes parties, yeah. So
Yeah, the Corrientes has had always a very strong provincial party. I can't remember. I mean, I don't know. They change names all the time, but they have their own uh, tradition uh, in politics, and so sometimes it's difficult to get into that society with a new uh, party unless you work in alliance. And I don't know the details
yeah, you
about it.
have all these alliances, and I mean, La Libertad Avanza and Corrientes was part of Encuentro por Corrientes. Yeah, so they were in that alliance, and there's so many parties. I mean, I'm glad it's more complicated. I wouldn't want it to be as corrupt as it is here. Here's the governor. I mean, Lisandro Almiron got he got a total 9.51% of the vote. That's just not enough for the runoff at all. The winner got a majority, so that's over.
Yeah.
Los Corrientes, which is We Go Corrientes. And then Limpiar Corrientes, which is Clean Corrientes. And then, yeah. So I don't know if we'll talk much more about Corrientes, but that was how things went there. So are all the other, are any other, these elections on off days, or is?
No, they're all on Sundays.
Well, I mean, are they all, you're talking about the day in October. Are there any other elections between now and then?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
I guess you don't really have to know except for the province where you live.
Yeah. I don't know if some, there's no, the province where I live is Neuquén, and there's no elections until October. And
Yeah.
the other provinces, most of them don't have elections. I don't know if any of them has elections. I don't follow them. If they had elections, they would have provincial elections, which has to do with the legislature, the province's legislatures, which I don't pay much attention to that. We paid attention to the Buenos Aires election because it is Buenos Aires, because it is Kicillof, and all that. But other than that, we wouldn't have paid any attention.
Yeah, we don't have elections until October 26th, which is Catamarca, Chubut, La Rioja, Mendoza, Santiago del Estero.
Sí.
So actually, no elections for the executive, just elections for the, actually Chubut, I don't think has elections for anything, but everybody's having elections for the national legislature, right? The Congress and the Senate.
Yes.
Yeah. So that'll be what really tells, because there isn't that much, but at least in Argentina, the feds do have a lot more power than, say, the federal government here, right, Jorge? I mean,
what do you mean by the feds?
The federal government has power over the provincial governments.
No, I mean, to a certain extent, but there are things they cannot change. For instance, one of the problems that we were having is that Milei is trying to shrink the government, but the only government he can shrink is the national government.
Yes.
I mean, you still have the provincial governments, which are a total disaster in every province, and the municipal governments as well. They are totally broke. They have more people than they need. It's a total disaster, and Milei cannot do much about that other than threaten them with other things or things like that.
Yeah.
Because there's things that he can't do from the federal government, and so that is one of the limitations that the system has here. The provinces are, they are autonomous to a certain extent. They have their own. Some provinces have two houses, like the province of Buenos Aires, since
Yes.
it was a country before,
Yes.
has two houses. The rest of the provinces, I don't know if any other province has two houses. Most of the other provinces have just a legislature. But then you have the municipalities with the town councils, and you see the
Mhm.
structure of the provinces and the municipalities, the people they hire. Uh, it's it's part of the problem. I mean, it's part of the problem of Argentina. I guess that's the same thing in every country, but Argentina has become a nightmare. So I don't know how Milei is gonna get to shrink the provincial governments and the municipal governments. I think it needs a cultural uh,
Yeah.
change or shift in order to
Mhm.
have the people. You know, it's very difficult for government to shrink itself, to politicians to start shrinking their
Yeah.
own government. I mean,
Mhm.
that's very difficult.
Well, it ends up being so many people have the votes, and then they vote because they keep a job. I mean, yeah, Harry Brown said, he would just, institute a hiring freeze. He wouldn't lay anybody off. He would just say, "I'm not hiring anybody," and eventually, people retire, people quit, and you get a smaller government that way.
Yeah.
But
Well, I've been talking with people who want to run for mayor in San Martin de los Andes. Some of them told me, the way to go is not to hire anybody
yeah,
and let them, resignate or resign their positions one by one. I don't know.
yeah, La Libertad with yeah, La Libertad Avanza didn't do. There were actually elections in Buenos Aires where La Libertad Avanza did pretty well, getting 30% of the
Yeah,
vote. That's just Buenos Aires, but yeah, it's a
the city of Buenos Aires.
the
You
city
mean?
of Buenos Aires, which is interesting. I would think more government employees would live in the city of Buenos Aires than live in the suburbs. But it's a big city.
Yeah,
You know what always amazes me, Jorge, is Azeza does not feel like a big city airport at all. I've been to New York, I've been to Chicago, I've been to Los Angeles, I've been to Mexico City. It still seems like a smaller an airport for a town like here Columbus, Ohio, or Pittsburgh, or it doesn't seem like a really big city airport.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Uh, it it, it didn't grow the same way the city grew.
and you have
Uh,
two airports, of course. Yeah,
yeah, a domestic airport and then a
yeah,
Seiza.
yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So it's Aero Park. I've been to both of them.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes I ended up at I don't know what happened to me, but on my last trip out of there, the driver took me through on some weird route and ended up being 90 minutes from where we were in the Hotel Pistana and near there, and ended up taking me like 90 minutes. And I went through all these. I said, I don't think these are good neighborhoods, and you can usually tell. I don't know what the deal was.
Where was the hotel?
The hotel was in in the
Downtown Buenos Aires,
yeah, it was in
Recoleta.
downtown. I mean, near near Plaza de Mayo and places like that. It was downtown in that area.
That is a very straightforward. I mean, it should have been a very
Yeah,
straightforward ride.
Yeah, we were following this river for a while, and I don't know why he was on that road. Uh, we were following the we were actually in the. I guess that river is actually the boundary between the Matanza River.
You're following that river?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the
Right.
deal was. I could tell after a while. I said, "Why is he going on this road?" The only thing I didn't, is maybe there's some big wreck or something on the main road. That's the only. But it was
I don't know.
so far out of the way.
Um,
One good thing, too, that might be connected to the lack of rent controls. My Airbnb was a lot cheaper this time.
uh-huh.
Yeah, a lot cheaper. It's just as nice, and the people are friendly, and you get these old buildings. It's really wild. They still got those old elevators and everything. The elevators where you have to manually open the doors. There's not really a lot of new fancy buildings down there, which you can kind of tell, but it gives it a lot of character. My brother loved Victorian architecture, and I've got the same thing. I love it too. It's lovely buildings down there.
Yeah, the new section in Buenos Aires is Puerto Madero.
Yeah, the new section in Buenos Aires. I mean, they really did put. I mean, building buildings was really buildings were works of art. They weren't just buildings. To see what they look like. Although, yeah. What do you think will have happen in this the law in the national legislature? Do you think we don't have very many seats there now, or La Libertad Avanza doesn't have very many
Well,
seats?
I was, hoping that Milei would win by a landslide in October. That's why these elections in the province of Buenos Aires bring some sort of a doubt on that I didn't have that. I mean, I
Yeah,
didn't expect a defeat by 13 points or 12 points, whatever.
yeah,
So I don't know. Uh, I I was confident that Milei would win in October by a large margin, and he would actually gain a lot of seats in Congress.
yeah,
Because one of the problems is that they pass laws that there are sensitive issues like people with problems or retirement things and things like that. But the only reason why they are trying to pass these laws is to break the fiscal uh,
yeah,
equilibrium that Millet has achieved. And so uh, then when Millet vetoes those laws, they repeal the veto, and they were able to do that. So Millet needs people in Congress. He
yes,
really needs people in Congress, and I've been very hopeful that he would get the people in October. So and this defeat yesterday was not in my plans.
yes. And it looks like this was the first time that they didn't have open, mandatory, and simultaneous primaries, as they call them.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
Milei proposed a bill to repeal the system, but uh, yeah, several provinces to hold the elections for local politicians. Yeah, that's all. It's a problem here in America too. I mean, I would love to just see us have just one election day every year and not mess around with it, but people do mess around,
yeah.
especially for bonds and levies and stuff like that. I don't know if you have any referendums or bonds or anything like that down there. Do you, Jorge? Or you just
No, not yet. No.
Yeah, I
We
wasn't
could, but we haven't had any referendums lately.
Yeah, like where you vote on things directly. It's or tax increases or stuff like that. It's they do that a lot down here. It's yeah, the well, Jorge, I couldn't help but notice too. It seems like you all have a lot more cases where the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate, they're not really career people in these offices, are they?
Uh, what do you mean by career people?
Well, for example, of the senators, they're 24 up and 7 are seeking reelection. So, I mean, people who basically go into the Senate and stay there for 20 or 30 years like they do in America.
We have some of them.
Yeah.
We have
Here, that's most of them. It's overwhelming majority of them. They go in and stay until they're either dead or they get voted out.
yeah. We've had some of them. I mean, I know of some have been like that for many years, and they actually make a lot of money. I mean, they make much more money than anybody else, and because they assign themselves their own pay, their own you know salaries,
Yes.
And Milei cannot repeal that. They do whatever they
Yeah.
want, and
There's a lot of stuff that Milei still can't do.
mhm. So we've had that what he calls the caste. That's what it is. So those it's those life politicians that have the only thing that they've been either representatives or deputies or senators or something like that all their lives.
You know, Carlos Menem and, of course, more recently, Mauricio Macri tried to implement some free market reforms. What do you think Milei is doing different from the rest of from those two?
He's shrinking the government. He's having fiscal equilibrium or balance. Neither Menem nor Macri had they had deficit all the time.
Yeah.
He's doing away with a lot of offices and he shrunk. I mean, the number of ministries and all kinds of offices. He's really going the way of a libertarian.
Yeah.
He has, for instance, Federico Sturzenegger.
Oh yeah.
Sturzenegger is every day he's looking into what he's like digging and exploring to see what is he's finding crazy stuff all the time that he is being canceled, and a lot of corruption, a lot of useless offices and stuff like that. So Milei is doing all that. Macri didn't do all that. Macri, when Macri took office, I think there were like 15 or 16 ministries, and he created 5 right away when he took office. So he had like 21 or 22. Menem was also corrupt. He was involved in several things that never. I mean, he was also condemned, and the only way he was protected is by being a senator, because they are shield. They have like a legal shield, and Milei is a true free market person, and Menem could have been. I mean, he privatized things, but the companies that he privatized were given over to they became private monopolies, like the telephone companies, and so of course that was better than the government run telephone company that didn't work. Nobody, I mean, the people who were requesting to have a telephone in their house, and they would have to wait 20 years or something like that. Well, that
Oh,
was
jeez.
solved. Yeah, and Menem uh, fixed that. But what Millet is wanting to, Millet is what he says is there's three uh, levels. One is the political level, which is he put his sister in charge of that. The other one is the economic level, which he is in charge of that, and Caputo. And then is the culture level, which is the culture, the battle, the cultural battle, that he puts a lot of emphasis on that too. And
Yeah.
so, because he says that if when he ceases to be the president or anything, the country has to actually have a different culture. It has to be a paradigm shift, because otherwise, all the good things, if he said that all the good things that we we produce will be taken advantage of some collectivists like the Peronists to start giving out things and doing the same things they always did. When Peron took office in
Mhm.
1946, the central bank was full of gold bars, and the government had a lot of wealth. There was no inflation, and so to he was able to start distributing stuff and 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 being a populist like he was,
Yeah.
because the people before him, previous people, had produced so much wealth. So Millet gives a lot of importance to the cultural battle. That's the way he calls it.
Yeah, I totally agree. He understands that, and I think he's going to do that, Jorge. And really, he's only allowed 8 years, right? And then he has to step down,
Yeah, but he can. Is unlike I think unlike the United States, he has to step down at least one term, and he can
come back.
come back.
But Jorge, I mean, I think Milei might become more important after his presidency if
Yeah, but he has to
has
have a
anything.
legacy. I mean, someone that
Yeah,
takes office there has to understand the the philosophy.
and it's not just happening in Argentina, Jorge. It's happening. It's happening.
What's happening?
I mean, Milei. I mean, people are buying his book in Peru. They're buying they know who he is in Chile. They know who
Oh,
he
no, yeah, yeah. That's yes, of
they know
course.
who I mean, he's probably after Messi, the most famous South American right now.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and Messi never says anything about politics, does he?
No, but he did something. I mean, he
That's a
want
smart move.
due to the pandemic, he brought in a lot of respirators or something like that.
Yeah.
And the government, I mean, back then it was the Kirchner government. They had so much uh, uh, obstacles that he couldn't actually complete the import, and
Mhm.
he was pissed about that. When they won the World Cup in 2022,
Yeah.
the government, Fernandez, wanted to welcome the players and all that, and they said no. I mean, Messi and the coach, and I think it was Scaloni, they said no. We don't want to we don't want to be around Kirchner people or anything like that, and they didn't. It was
Oh
incredible.
wow.
It did not.
That is a I mean that's amazing. Yeah. I mean,
Mm.
imagine, for example, an American gridiron football team turning down the White House visit or something like that. Jeez.
Mm.
Oh,
They
what a
turned.
and that's I didn't know that. I'd love to see that on tape. I think
It
there's
was incredible because they were like here in Buenos Aires, there were like 10 million people in the streets, or 5 million,
oh
but
yeah,
it was incredible. And
yeah.
they got on a bus. They sat on the roof of the bus. I don't know. They went all around. They were celebrating, and it was incredible. And they just and there was when they got to the airport, I think there was one government official. I can't remember exactly who he was, and they just avoided him like it was, just didn't pay any
Yeah.
attention to him. It was sort of a thing that everybody agreed upon. I mean, all the players and all the people who were around the players said, we don't have anything to do with politics. We don't want any politicians around. And they were able to accomplish that.
Yeah, sports is one of those places where it's based on who works hard, and you still find people who are real leaders in sports. I mean, a coach or a manager just can be. I mean, you have to be a leader in that
Yeah,
endeavor.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This came up recently, Jorge. I really enjoyed watching this clip. I wish I'd shown these clips, but it's a
Which one?
this is from the debate. It's but I just some people were saying that after the debate that Miriam was
Yeah.
some people were saying Miriam was in love with him. What do you
La brecha salarial entre hombres y mujeres. En Argentina, las mujeres tenemos que trabajar 8 días más al mes para igualar el salario de un varón. ¿Usted niega el patriarcado por ignorancia o por machismo?
Mire, Breckman, lo niego por la evidencia empírica. ¿Sabe qué? Cuando usted desagrega los promedios y toma profesión por profesión, la desigualdad desaparece. Pero si usted tuviera razón, y los malditos capitalistas explotadores a los que usted hace alusión, que solo quieren ganar plata, si lo que usted dice fuera cierto, usted tendría que entrar en una empresa y deberían ser todas mujeres. Adivine qué va a encontrar. Ah, claro, usted no sabe lo que es ir a una empresa. Pero, ¿sabe qué? Va a haber mitad hombres, mitad mujeres. Es decir, su teoría se cae con los datos. Gracias.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, maybe he needs to do more debates. I mean, maybe that'll strengthen. But people were saying Miriam Bregman was falling in love with him after those debates. That's what I think's funny.
I don't think so.
Well, there were so many times during debates he was always kind of smiling or laughing. And there was just this confidence, but it wasn't overwhelmingly. And I just showed that to people. I said, "This is what we call game. This man, it's not enough that they want to vote for him. They got to really fall in love with him." So that was really he certainly won over people who were, opposed him. I mean, I can't wait to see if we can see some of those debates again. He gives speed. I guess, when you're a president, you don't really get into debates unless there's an election. You don't really, but I suppose there's some debates with some of the candidates out there, though. Those might be interesting to watch.
Where you mean where? Here or in
like some of the like debates between congressional candidates or debates between senatorial candidates? I mean,
but we don't have that.
Oh, you don't have that? Yeah, it's too bad. Yeah, it's really those were fun. Yeah, I wasn't really sure about the copyright strikes, so I didn't really want to put those up, but I figured I'd put that up now because it was a nice little clip of. And Mary, I don't know. What's Miriam Bregman doing now? Is she just kind of?
I have no idea
what about Milei or protesting, or maybe she went to Venezuela. I don't know.
But it's interesting what's going on with Venezuela right now. Don't you think so?
Oh, Venezuela, yeah. Well, those Venezuelan immigrants love Milei, and Milei loves them. Yeah, it's he definitely seems very popular with I think we've seen some minor setbacks, but I'm still pretty optimistic about this, Jorge. And I've got to say, and I've said this to other people, if it's not Javier Milei, then who is it?
That's my point.
That's anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know who else is out there, and I hope he can inspire some more courage and more stuff like this. It's but you know him, and you know what his qualities are. He loves people. He knows how to get people on his sides. He knows how to change minds. He knows how to motivate people. And he's got a lot of good people around him, I think. And we did do one speech recently, Jorge. He actually was speaking some English in that speech. I was kind of surprised.
Who spoke English?
Milei spoke English. Yeah, he said, "Oh, he does know some English."
Very very basic.
Well, he would certainly get a lot more money in speaking fees. I have a
Oh
feeling
yeah,
he'll be a man in demand after these 8 years. He could go around and do speaking tours, and I think he can definitely. Who knows? And he's still got possibly 20 or 30 good years. Or even longer. Yeah. So, well, Jorge, I think this has been a good show, and I think it's about time to call it right now. So, I don't know if you have anything else more you want to talk about.
I don't think so, because I've already mentioned everything that I had in mind.
I love having you on here, and I love talking to you. I said we got to go fishing, or
yeah.
I did go to Mendoza, and I did go a little bit in the mountains, and it was gosh, those mountains are just majestic. And you can see Aconcagua from Mendoza sometimes, which is pretty wild. It's and then I saw that abandoned railroad, and I always get a little sad when I see an abandoned railroad, just because I think about all the work that goes into that. Especially when they built that railroad and they opened it up in 1910. Think about it. They had to blast out tunnels and move earth and just to get a train through the mountains. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
It just seems so disrespectful to leave that railroad now and not use it. But it was an engineering feat for its time. It kind of shows what Argentines were made of at the time. I had a brother who worked on the railroad for a while. It is work. At least that's what he told me. Well, where can we find you out there, Jorge?
What's that?
Just on Twitter?
No, I'm on Facebook with just.
Yeah.
And
I usually just post people's Twitter accounts, but yeah, or if they have a website.
No, I don't do. I do Facebook and Instagram on the fishing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man, he'll take you fishing. Yes, and he'll take you fishing. You do anything else, or just fishing, Jorge?
We do a bird shooting too.
Okay, what kind of birds do you get down there?
We have doves and ducks. Both.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a really beautiful country there. I bet you can just reach down and take some of the water out of the creek, and it's perfectly clean, I bet. Well, please like the show, subscribe to the channel, go buy my novel, Escape from the Village, check out my Substack. People are giving me money to buy me a coffee. Thanks again, Jorge Trucco. It's been always great to have you here. I'm Chris Baker. We're out. Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.